Hey everybody, Brian Von Vier here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories. Today we're going to be talking about D&D players of Reddit. What was the funniest combat encounter that you've had? One time the party was traveling on a foreign island when, as they were passing by a lake, a large shoal of piranhas leaped out of the water and started to flop towards us. DM told us to roll initiative and me, realizing something, said, "Hey, can't we just walk away?" The DM then replied, yeah. So we walked away. The piranhas were too slow to catch up to us and couldn't breathe out of the water, so they just kinda died. That's kinda sad, dude. The wizard and fighter caused an uprising of automatons in a magical university. Thing is, the automatons were all made of office supplies and were led by the key to the professor's private study. But there were over 150 of them, and they were out for blood. Oh, did I mention the summoning circle in the office makes them effectively immortal? So these two schmucks reconvened with the rest of the party while being chased down by a horde of office supplies, wielding pencils and quoting Braveheart. Oh, it was a weird day. Op's story made me remember a very similar one. We were on an orcish stronghold island, making our way to their main base to kill their leader and the likes. As we passed this old lake with a shipwreck in it, a suit or two of armor dragged themselves out of the water and started towards us. The DM asked us what we wanted to do. As it was slow and dragging, we just decided to kind of pass them by and carry on. On a different but very memorable moment, later on the island we found two watchtowers stationed by two orcs each. They had huge bells to warn and send signals to the main stronghold at the top. As the sneakiest rogue of the group, I barged into the first tower and saw a guard. I bolted out, then back in, and practically killed them in a single blow. The rest of the party helped me fight to the top as we were dispatching the last few orcs. One went to hit the bell. Our party leader, a mousefolk wizard, infamously summoned his familiar, which was a cat named Muggins, to cling to the inside of the bell. The orc smashed the bell with a hammer, but luckily, Muggins, being inside, allowed for the sound to be muffled and not to alert anyone. Muggins died temporarily, and we passed through, undetected. That was one of the most fun encounters we've done, and I can't wait to do some more in person. Also, I hope Muggins came back to life and really just hated that wizard for a while. I played in an after-school campaign that met every Monday. There were 10 to 15 players with our teacher DMing. We had separate parties. My party and I entered a large dungeon and were about 3 weeks into it. We were attacked by enemies with heavy armor and two-handed weapons. We came to a part in the dungeon that had a large magical lake and a boat in the middle of it. One of my party members jumped in, not thinking about his armor, of course, to try and swim to the boat. The DM just kinda slipped him a note. The party wanted him to come up, but after 3 minutes, more of us jumped in. The 3 more party members didn't come up. And me and my other party member sat there, kinda confused. Suddenly, a tentacle monster swam up, holding our other 5 party members. They were dead, and not too long after, we got party wiped. We all sat there in shock as we got party wiped by a not-so-strong giant squid, and the DM explained how we had to beat a DC 20 strength save to swim up because the lake had some sort of magic that stopped anyone from swimming up. Our Lost Minds group has 2 evil members, my Githzeri Artificer and my Tabaxi Rogue. We had finished the main storyline, so the party was in Yatar for one character's backstory. Our party typically has the evil characters use the criminal side of cities for information. We began asking around at shady taverns to investigate murders being committed related to the backstory. The rogue and my artificer had found a trail from the murderer that led to the docks. We began to head back to the party when we saw a shadowy figure dart away in an alley we passed. We decided to check it out, as both of us were being hunted down for backstory reasons and didn't want to take the chance of a spy revealing where either of us are. We were immediately surrounded by 4 bugbears who revealed they were working for drow slavers and were going to capture us. 2 were in front of us and 2 were behind us. Both of our characters mocked the kidnappers, calling their plan lazy and pointing out that we had come to them. After a while of our taunts, they drew their weapons to attack. My artificer said, "I'll take the back, you get the front." With my steel defender and infused crowbar and the rogue's great tactics as a swashbuckler, the combat did not take a long time. We kept one alive and got him to tell us where his group's hideout was, and it happened to be important for the backstory quest. After questioning, my character used his crowbar to kill the bugbear. I think the funniest thing about this to me was the fact that it wasn't the first time those 2 characters were jumped in an alley, and it also wasn't the first time they caused enemies to attack them by mocking their plans. Even more specifically, it wasn't the first time an attacker in an alleyway was executed by that crowbar after being questioned. What have you guys gotten up to, and why don't we have more stories of this? We took part in a Puritan hunt. You and your team compete with other teams that try to kill the biggest and oldest Puritan. So, we were going through the forest when we encountered a team of noblemen from Lord's Alliance. They had gotten lost and were really angry. They started to command us to show them the way out and behaved pretty aggressively. In response, our bard cast Gust of Wind under one of the noble's coats, so then he looked very cute, like Marilyn Monroe. Oh, he did not like that. The fight started. I was playing a moon druid and wild-shaped into a giant octopus. I restrained the main long-haired noble and started to beat him up. That is when the weird things started to happen. The long-haired noble looked like he enjoyed my company, and the other guys were moaning every time he got hit. At the end, 2 of them were unconscious, and the long-haired guy said to my octopus form, "In different circumstances, I might even ask you to continue. But I give up." It might sound disturbing to some, but with the right group, this is pretty funny, and it was for us. And yeah, we left them alive. It's not a case of being outright hilarious, but more of a case where we stomped it hard enough that even legendary actions couldn't save the boss. We chased some kobolds down into the sewers to retrieve some stolen items for an artificer's guild. And so far, so easy. We make it up to the final area. We find this weird oval room with a big wall in the middle, almost like a racetrack. Waiting for it at the end of the hall is a bunch of kobolds and a big mech suit. I'm talking 3x3 big with crossbow turrets for the other kobolds to jump onto. Needless to say, they didn't stand a chance. First round. My warlock opens up with Hunger of Hadar and wipes most of the basic kobolds acting as their backup. 5 kills immediately, 2 more over the course of the fight for 7 total tossed to the void. The 6th one was a repelling blast knocking a kobold off of a turret and into the Hadar zone. Our monk knocked the 7th into it. We found out what the oval room was for shortly after, though, as the mech made a charging attack down the big straightaway and plowed over me. Made a concentration check, though, so Hadar was keeping the back locked down tight. A couple turns later, he recharges it and does it again, lining up on the other straightaway in the oval. But before he could get anywhere further, of course, the monk knocks him down. The poor bastard was on the floor for the rest of the fight. All of the various dark vision-infused cave-dwelling races of our team proceeded to beat it into scrap metal with melee because he just couldn't get up. And that's why, from now on, when someone eats floor in melee range, we remember cave rules. My barbarian had a cursed sword of berserkering, which was okay with him, of course, because he liked going berserk anyway. And this weapon would find his way into his hand by magic. However, we were in a major city drinking in a crowded bar when someone insults my barbarian heritage and hygiene. My character, being very much a typical barbarian, answers the insult with a punch, or so he meant to. I can see where this is going. Any attack has a chance to summon the cursed sword into my hand, so I'm sure you can imagine what happened. Berserkering barbarian in a crowded common room, swinging a two-handed sword with reckless abandon. This was also 3.5 when I had the Great Cleave feat. What resulted would make murder hobos everywhere either quit and take up farming, or require them to change pants and light a smoke after. As long as another living creature was within 60 feet of me, I would stay in a mindless rage, attacking everything and everyone. My party was going to sign into an inn, but when they were about to enter, they saw 7 rats the size of medium-sized dogs dragging a man away. Apparently this was normal in this town. The best part was the dog rats could breathe underwater, hunted using the smell of blood, and this was the first fight of the campaign. My human wizard made an ice cap so they couldn't drown the man, but it was in vain. My wizard was honestly more upset about losing a spell slot than the man dying. The rats took the man, drowning him, and then started attacking us when they finished with him. My character and the ranger were bitten, and we had to kill most of the rats, some of them retreating to go eat their dead friends. Party 0, rat dogs 1. It's such a weird concept. Greg, the dance-fighting bard bandit. He was a bard looking to get rich quick. We found this out upon killing him and taking his journal and pay off a bar tab a mile long. We, the party, got stuck with said bar tab as a side objective for most of the game. Turned out the big bad evil guy was the bartender's sister-in-law, and she was a lich and a bitch who died due to Greg's drunken antics. That was a weird 3-shot campaign. I was the face of the group I was in. Our DM subtly directed us toward an ancient ruin that we would come to find out was full of skeletons. But when one of the skeletons fired, their leader, the skeleton lord, spoke and began quoting Spaceballs with one of the other skeletons beside him. Not Spaceballs. No. Who made that man, referencing the skeleton that had fired at our group, a gunner? Quote from the skeleton lord. I did, sir. This was the skeleton beside the skeleton lord. He's my cousin. Who is he? He's an asshole, sir. I know that. What's his name? That's his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole. Quote from another skeleton beside the skeleton lord. This went on to finish the entire quote, and by the end we couldn't stop laughing, and now we're referencing any combat scene we get into, the asshole fight. God, that was good. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course, at the very end of all of this, leave a comment down below. Also, make sure to know that you are loved, valuable, and that you deserve a lot of happiness and health. We'll see you later. Bye for now.